Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in the day three, we'll start with OpenAI. Okay, so before getting into the OpenAI, so I'll be showing you some of the installation process, like the tools which we'll be using going forward, so that you can just download all those things before getting started. Fine. So first thing is just check if you have Python installed. To check if you have Python, just open your command prompt and you can just type Python over here. Okay, so if you just type Python, so you'll get a Python version. So in my system there is 3.10.4. In case, okay, if you're not getting this version, it means that you don't have Python installed in your system. So what you can do is, if you need to install the Python, okay, you need to follow this step. The people who already installed it, you can just fast forward the video. Okay, so to download the Python, just type here Python download, and you'll be getting the first link, that is from the www.python.org. Please download the Python from the official website. Fine. So you can just click onto this Python, download Python, which of 3.1 is the latest version, and this for the Windows. Okay, in case if you're using any other operating system, you can just click onto this Linux, Mac, or any other operating system, right? So just click onto this and the normal installation process. Okay, I hope you know how to install it, right? Just you need to, once the installation is done, just do next, automatically it will be installed. So this is what the first thing which you need to install. So next, even we'll be using an ID. Okay, ID is optional. Okay, in case we are using some other ID like PyCharm or ID which you are comfortable with, you can use that. But going forward in our lectures, okay, I'll be using the VS Code. So in case if you don't have VS Code, so you can just type your VS Code download again, and again the first link. Okay, so you can just download the Visual Studio Code for the Windows, or if you're using any other operating system, you can just click onto this and download it. Okay, so I'll just show you how the VS Code looks. So this is what the VS Code is, right? So Visual Studio Code, and to build any projects, okay, so we'll be using this. Fine. And the next is Anaconda Navigator. Okay, let me just close this. And so next, the tool which you can install is Anaconda Navigator. So this is we are installing because going forward, whenever you want to create some virtual environment in our local machine, so we'll be using this Conda environments. Okay, so in case if you're comfortable with creating a Jupyter notebooks in a local system, you can even use this. Right, so let me just click on this Anaconda Navigator, and you can just click on this free download, and from here you can just click on skip registration. Okay, you need to enter all these email addresses. Just click on skip registration, and again you can just click on download. So based on your operating system, just download it. Okay, again the installation process is very simple. Okay, just you need to do the next. Fine. So once I've installed this, I hope you know how to open the Anaconda Navigator. So you can just type here Anaconda, and this is what the app is. So I'm just showing all this installation process just to make sure that everyone are in same page. Okay, fine. So this is all about the Anaconda Navigator, and in case if you want to create a notebooks, okay, you can just click onto this app and start new Jupyter notebooks. Fine. And alternative to this is I'll be using the Google Colab. Okay, so if you don't have account, you can just go and create it. Okay, so Google Colab, search for Google Colab. So I feel this is the best way to practice all the generative concepts, because here we have the runtime. Okay, you can change the runtime to TPUs, GPUs, or on CPUs. Okay, based on the requirement what you are working with. Okay, so once you open the Google Colab, okay, this is how it looks. Okay, you can just click on new notebook, and so once you click on, and it's automatically you can start writing the code here, right? So it's very simple, and then it's very handy to use it. You can just rename it. Okay, again, for example, if you're doing it for the first time, just rename as my first, okay, notebook, and whatever the name, okay, you're practicing it, you just try to enter that, so that going forward, whenever you want to get back, or you have written some kind of code, you can just get back here and try to search with the same name. And next is about this runtime. Okay, so right now, so if you want to change the runtime, right now it's not connected. So as soon as you start writing the code, okay, it automatically connect, or else you can just click on connect here, so which will basically connect to the default runtime. Okay, so right now it's connecting. So let me just show you the runtime. Okay, how to change the runtime. So here we have the change runtime option. So let me just click onto this. So by default, the runtime type is Python 3 and the hardware accelerator is basically selected as CPU. Okay. So going forward, so when we go for some other concepts like Hugging Face, okay, so where we fine tune the models, okay, of course, we'll not be using the CPUs. So during such practicals, okay, we'll be using the GPUs, okay. So this is where you will be changing your runtime, okay. I'm just showing you all those things so that you'll have an idea about all those things, okay. So you can just click onto this, change runtime type, and you can just update change the runtime over here. And this is one of the important thing, okay. So next is, I hope you know how to write a code, right? So you can just write a code here, hello, and you can just execute this, and so the program will be executed. And in case if you want to download the notebook, go to the file, and here you can just download as IPYNB file or .py. Okay, so this will be download in your local machine. So what I suggest is don't need to download unless if you are want to save in your local machine, because everything is saved inside the cloud, right? So this is the cloud version, and automatically all the changes will be saved. And apart from this, in case we want to write any text or comments, right, I mean like any summary, you can just click on text, and so here you can just write all your headings, okay. So here you can just make slide formatting, okay, so like toggle headings, you can want to make it bold, italics. In case we want to add some kind of images, okay, insert links, you can just do all those things, right? And the next important thing is all about the keys, okay. So here we have something called secret section. So if we expand this, okay, so right now there are so many secrets, okay. So going forward, so we'll be adding the API's secret keys, okay. So like for example, Hugging Face, Open API keys, like Google API keys, okay. So this is the place where we'll be adding it. In case if you want to add a new key, click on to this add new key. You can give any key name, like I'm just right now giving it as dummy, okay, and your key value, like for example, I'm giving 1 2 3 4 5, okay. So once this is done, okay, so now this secret key has been added with this name, okay. So in case if you want to access this particular dummy, let me just show you how to access it. So here below you can see one Python code, okay. So this is just a way how you can access your secret keys, okay. So let me just copy this and I'll paste it. And only thing you need to replace here is secret name, okay. So here right now the secret name whatever given is dummy, okay. Let me just copy this and let me just paste it over here, and if I try to execute this, you can see I'm able to fetch, need to grant access, and you're able to fetch that 1 2 3 4 5, okay. So this is very important because of course I'll not be showing up these keys, okay. So whenever I ask you to get the keys from Hugging Face or OpenAI, I'll show you the method, okay. But of course it's not a good practice, even you should not share these keys with anyone, okay. So if you keep all this in the secrets, of course that will not be shared, okay. You can just so right now you can see all these keys here once you execute, but you can create some variable like X, okay, and I want to save that particular key in the X, okay. So unless you type X, so no one will be able to find that particular keys, okay. So make sure this is how you add a keys, and in case you want to delete it, so you can just click on this delete and the key will be get deleted. So this is very important because this will be using frequently, because if I go with OpenAI, Hugging Face or LangChain concepts, okay, so we'll be adding keys over here. So this is how we add a keys. Yes, I think like I have covered most of the things, okay. How to write a code, how to add the headings, okay, how to change the runtime and the keys, okay. And in case if you want to upload something, okay, in your environment, can you just use this file section and you can just upload it here. Like in case we want to upload any of these files or data sets or anything, you can just upload it from here, okay. So yes, so this is all about the Google Collab. So yes, these are the tools which we'll be using, starting with Python, okay. So make sure you have some ID. This will be using to build some kind of projects, okay. And this is the alternative in case if you don't want this, but what I said is I need it because when we go for Visual Studio Code, I'll be using the code environment to create environments for our project. So what I suggest is just download it, but no need of using the Jupyter notebooks, okay. Instead of that, you can use this Google Colab. Fine. So this is all about installation process and the tools which I'll be using. In case if you have any other tools, okay, I'll be explaining that going forward. Fine. So now coming back to OpenAI, okay, this is the sheet, okay, so where I've just listed down all the main topics as well as subtopics and the resources and the references. Okay, in the main topics, these are the topics which we'll be covering from today. Okay, starting with introduction to OpenAI. So I have just chosen first OpenAI because so to understand the LLMs, okay, we are going with the commercial based LLMs. Okay, I mean like the large language models which is commercially available. When I say commercially, you need to pay some charges to access that. So I'm not going with the free version because I'm like the free open source LLMs because I want you to first learn the commercials, because here you can easily understand the concepts in much better way, and and easy to implement. Okay, actually, and when you go for the open source, okay, there are a lot of things. Okay, sometimes you'll not get appropriate response, a lot of challenges. Okay, to avoid that, so I'm starting with the OpenAI. So in case if you're a student, you don't have access or you don't have money to pay to those APIs, okay, can just practice it. Okay, so can just understand the concepts how these things are working. But yes, if you can afford it, it takes almost $5-10. Okay, initially, can just pay that. I'll be showing those ways of going forward. But what I suggest is if you are able to pay it, okay, $10, you can just pay to the OpenAI APIs, okay, and start practicing it. In case if you can't afford, okay, you can just try to learn those concepts, but you need to wait patiently unless we go for the open source models like Hugging Face. So this is the main point. Okay, please remember, and don't feel demotivated because if we are using the commercial LLMs, okay, to understand the concepts. Okay, so this is what one of the reason I just wanted to point out. I'm starting with the OpenAI. Okay. So once we cover the entire thing in OpenAI, we'll do a lot of projects. Then we'll switch to the Hugging Face and so on, like LangChain, the rack concepts, and all those things will be covered going forward. And so yes, and one more update is I'll be uploading all the videos on daily basis. So there could be some delay for 1 or 2 days, but yes, I make sure that I'll upload all the videos on time, okay, on daily basis. That is at Indian time, okay, that is 9 p.m. Fine. Coming back to syllabus. So this is what the sections have divided. Main topics, subtopics, resources, and references. So whatever I'm going to explain, okay, so everything will be added in this sheet, like introduction to OpenAI, and related to that have the attached slides, okay, which I'll be taking those references and I'll be explaining those things. And so this is what the references, okay. So next we'll see like making requests to the OpenAI APIs. So we'll see the Python code, different ways of accessing it. And so as I told you, so most of the resources I'll be for the code, okay, I'll be using Google Colab. Fine. And so next we'll see the API request using the Postman also, okay, because whenever you're working with APIs, we should know how to play with your Postman. Okay, so we'll be seeing that. Then we see the chat GPT API use cases, like what is text generation. We have concept of something called functional calling. We'll do some basic simple projects, okay, like building FAQ system. Then we'll see the chat GPT API capabilities, okay, like what is chat completions, what is the meaning of embeddings, okay, fine tuning, batch API request, files, image generation, okay, different types of models, what is the meaning of moderations, okay. And so I'll just keep on updating the sheet, okay, as we proceed. So it's not only this much, okay, so I'll be keep on adding it. We'll be spending a lot of time in OpenAI, okay. So once we are perfect in this, I think like rest of the concepts, okay, going forward, which you're going to learn in Hugging Face or LangChain, which will be very simpler to understand, okay. All right, so now let's start with introduction to OpenAI. We'll understand what is OpenAI and its products, okay. So this is the slides, okay, which I'll be referring. Fine. So let me just open the reference resource also. This is my OpenAI Wikipedia. Fine. So what is OpenAI? So OpenAI is American artificial intelligence research organization founded in December 2015. Okay, so it's basically an organization and is headquartered in the San Francisco. Okay, it's in California, and they have the mission. Okay, so what is its mission? So its stated mission is to develop a safe and beneficial AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which it defines as a highly autonomous system that outperform the humans at most economically valuable work. So in simple terms, when we started with introduction, so we had the three different types of AI, right? So we had super intelligence, narrow intelligence, and the general intelligence. Okay, so the narrow intelligence was any machine which was able to do the single task. Okay, so we generally categorize that into narrow intelligence. So next we had the general intelligence. Okay, so where the model or a machine is able to do the multiple tasks at a time. Okay, and the super intelligence is something, okay, so where the machines can have the human like intelligence along with emotions. Okay, OpenAI is just one of the mission, okay, where they have stated that they want to develop an AI application, okay, which is safe and beneficial towards building the artificial general intelligence. Okay, so this is what the OpenAI. If you can just read this particular Wikipedia, okay, just to understand more about this organization. So that's what I've stated. So OpenAI is an artificial intelligence research laboratory, right? And it conducts research in the field of AI with the aim of promoting and developing friendly AI in a way that it benefits the humanity as whole. Okay, so this is what their mission and objective is. And so I've just attached some of the images just to show you. This is the headquarters, okay, in the San Francisco. And so to know more about this, so it was founded in December 2015. And so these are the key peoples. Okay, so Sam is the CEO, right? And you can see number of employees and its official website. Okay, so that is openai.com. If you get into its website, okay, let me just get into this. If I just get into this OpenAI uh, .com, okay, so it's their official website. Okay, and so you can just check all their products. Okay, can see like their products has been listed. You can just get into the products. So they have Sora, Chat, GPT, okay, APIs. Okay, there are so many things. Okay, you can start exploring their official website as well. So let me just get back into the slides. Fine. So he's the CEO. Okay, just remember, because we are learning their LLMs. Okay, I mean like which is quite popular. Okay, I hope many people have used the Chat GPT as well, right? So we should know who is the CEO as well, right? So Sam is the CEO of the OpenAI. And so just to make it simple, okay, because if you're starting for the first time and learning for the first time, okay, you'll have the confusion. Okay, what is OpenAI, what is a OpenAI API, and all those things, right? So I've just broken down into simpler terms, okay, so that you'll understand. Okay, so we have just seen now what is OpenAI, right? So OpenAI is just an it's a AI research and development company. Okay, so this is what the OpenAI is. So one of the products is ChatGPT, okay, which is an AI application. You can say a chatbot, okay, so which can perform the multitasking. I hope even you have used that, right? So ChatGPT is one of their application. Similarly, we have other products as well, but this is a quite popular. That's what I've just listed. So ChatGPT is one of the AI application, which is one of the product given by the OpenAI, right? So next we have something called OpenAI API. Okay, so what is this OpenAI API? It's basically an interface for accessing the OpenAI models. Okay, somewhere whenever we're discussing about the generative AI, right? So basically we are referring to the LLM, that is the large language models. I hope you remember in the previous session we have discussed what is LLMs, right? So whenever I'm referring to the models, okay, so basically I'm referring to one of the LLM. Okay, so it could be multitasking or any LLM which is doing some a single task. Okay, but somewhere whenever I'm referring to LLMs, okay, basically I'm talking about the large language models, or generally we call that as a models. Okay, just remember that. So now what is an OpenAI API? So it's basically an interface for accessing the OpenAI models. So this OpenAI company, okay, so has various products. Okay, so like ChatGPT is one of the product, and even it's one of the service. Okay, I mean like if you want to access their LLMs, so we have this OpenAI API, which is a basically an interface for accessing the OpenAI models. So now just to understand this, okay, I've just taken an analogy of library. Okay, so if you just think OpenAI is like entire library building and administration. Okay, so of course it compasses of all the efforts, okay, resources, management are required to maintain and develop the library. So ensuring it serves its purpose of providing knowledge and information to the public. Okay, so OpenAI is like an entire library. So what is ChatGPT? So ChatGPT is a specific book within the library. Okay, so this book is known for its vast knowledge on wide range of topics and the ability to communicate this knowledge through the written text, much like having a conversation with the reader. So basically, it's one of the product within the OpenAI. Okay, so what is now OpenAI API? It's like a libraries catalog and the checkout system. So it means by you can access the books, okay, and borrow their knowledge or capabilities to use it in your own projects or applications. Very important. Okay, so whenever you want to access, okay, any of their books, so we have what, a library catalog, okay, from where I can borrow those things, right? So basically I'm just interacting to the books, okay, through a system, right? So in simple terms, OpenAI API stands for application programming interface, okay, which provides an interface to access not only the talking about OpenAI. Generally whenever you're talking about APIs, it's like an interface to access or fetch the data from any third party tool or any application, right? So now let's try to understand simpler terms. Okay, what is the meaning of API? So as I told you, so API stands for application programming interface. Okay, so I'll have some client, right? And so I want to fetch some of the information from the database or any kind of server or any third party tool. So generally what happens, I'll be sending a request, right? Through what? Through this API, okay, which is an application programming interface, and this API help us to send that particular request to my server, and from the server I'm able to get the response. So the best example is the temperature, right? So for example, if you want to know the current temperature, you may have the apps, applications, or you just get into the Google Chrome and type what is the current weather or temperature, right? So you're able to get the information then and there itself. It's only happening because of the APIs. Okay, so what happens, you are sending the request to those servers, okay, and that server particularly get that particular response and send it to you. Okay, so this is what the API says. And other example is like I hope you have used the GPay or the phone pay, right? So where you are able to send the money or which is across the different banks, right? So of course the GPay is just a Google product, but they're able to communicate with the different banks, okay, through the APIs, okay, because so they APIs provide that interface so that the GPay can connect to the different banks. Okay, so this is what one of the example you can just remember, right? So now let's try to understand this even with simpler example. So if you are getting in, if you are going to some restaurant, right? So of course you're going to order the food, okay? So that order is taken by the person, that is a waiter, right? And he'll just pass that particular request. So chef will prepare it and the food will be served, okay? So you can just think this as an analogy for the API. So yes, see the same thing. Okay, what I will just tell you. So like in case if you want to access the weather details or the temperature, okay, you are sending the location and to the servers, and the server will fetch the current details, and that is the weather information, and that will be displayed on your phones, right? So we have the concept of request and the response. So similarly, so we have the OpenAI API, okay? So we have the client again, okay? And this time the OpenAI provides an interface to access to their models, okay? When I'm referring to the models, basically I'm talking about the large language models. Assume like we have a GPT 4, okay, or GPT 3, okay, any other model, okay, which is provided by the OpenAI. If I want to connect to that, okay, so of course I need to send some kind of a request to that servers, okay, to that model, okay. So that is happening because of the API, okay. So and this API is provided by the OpenAI, fine. So we are sending a request and so to the models, okay, so and I'll be getting some kind of a response from those models. To happen this, okay, of course we need an API, okay. So that's what we're gonna studying in detail, okay. So whenever you're building any Gen AI applications and you're using the OpenAI LLMs, okay, so this is what the configurations, how to set the configurations, how to send a request, the different capabilities, okay, which we'll be learning in detail, fine. And so when I say request, okay, so basically I'm sending, okay, what kind of model I need to access, because when I say like I want to access the model, of course there are n number of models provided by the OpenAI, right? So whenever I'm sending the request, I'll be sending like what kind of model I want to access it, what is the data, right? Data in the sense like what is the information I want to fetch, okay? Assume like I want to do the text classification or I want to do some kind of a task or job, okay? So basically I'll be mentioning all those things in the request itself, right? So what kind of model, what is the data, and what is the model model parameters, okay, so which will be learning about this in detail. But in simple terms, you can just think like whenever I'm getting a response, okay, what kind of response I'm expecting, okay, with token limits or different parameters, okay, which we can just set. Like we have a concept of them called temperatures, okay, so which we're learning in detail. But just to keep it simple, so these are these some of the requests which we'll be sending to our LLMs, like model data, model parameters. So once you send all this request, so basically I'll be getting a response. Fine. So we have the client, and I'll be sending those things to the OpenAI API, that is request, and I'll be getting some kind of response. So one a simple example, right? So assume like so now when I say like I'm sending a request, okay. So when if you're using their application like ChatGPT application, okay. So there you're returning, you're just sending those requests in terms of prompts. Okay, what is the meaning of prompt here? It's like you can say a message or a question that is being passed to my LLM to generate some kind of a response. Okay, so based on the prompt which I'm sending it. So that's where we have a new field called prompt engineering. Okay, so you should learn how to talk to those LLMs, okay, in terms of like providing the prompts, right? So yes, so this is how the APIs and the web interface looks. Okay, so when I'm talking about the APIs, so basically we have the client, and I'll be sending some kind of request and response. Okay, so this entire thing will be in terms of code, right? And so when I say application web interface, so where everyone have used the chat GPT, right? So I'll be writing some kind of prompt, and I'll be getting the response then and there itself. Okay, it's a web interface. Okay, so this is what the two difference, these are the differences which you need to remember. Okay, whenever I'm talking about the APIs, so basically I'm talking about some kind of a request and the response, and that is being written in terms of Python code. Okay, so that is what interacting through the programming language. And so here the setup is very simple, right? So here we need to do not lot of, I mean like you need to do the basic setup. Of course, like whenever I want to interact with the APIs, I need to have the secret keys. I need to do, basically there is certain methods, some classes which I need to import it before accessing those models, right? So I need to do all those basic setup, okay, whenever I want to connect to the LLMs through the APIs. But in terms of interface, the setup is very simple, right? So just need to log in and start writing the prompt, and I'll be getting the response from those LLMs, right? So this is what you need to remember. So now, so why the OpenAI API? Okay, so one is accessibility to the AI, right? And so here, whenever we are working with the APIs, okay, so it does not require a data, I mean like or any kind of ML experience. When I mean to say that here is like we don't need any big data, okay, so to train the LLMs and try accessing the models. Okay, so already the data has been trained. Okay, so everything is ready. The only thing is you need to just connect to those LLMs through the APIs. Okay, and of course they have a lot of advantages whenever you want to integrate something to your application. You're building some Gen AI application, so that's where you go with this OpenAI APIs. So now in the next step, what we'll do is, so now we have got an idea like what is OpenAI, right? What is ChatGPT, okay, their product, and what is an OpenAI API, right? So now in the next step, what we're gonna do is we'll try to do the basic setup. So when I say setup, basically we'll start writing the code. Okay, I'll show how to connect to those OpenAI LLMs. Okay, and let's try to do some basic task. Okay, and even we'll see how we can make a request to the OpenAI, basically connecting to the LLMs. Okay, so now let's see those part. All right, so now let's make our first request to the OpenAI API. Okay, so the code is Python code is already attached. Okay, let me just open this. So I'm using the Google Colab. All right, so before starting, so of course we need an API key. Okay, so what happens is whenever you are interacting with the APIs, okay, so we need some kind of authentication. Okay, so see, no one can just go and connect to the any kind of servers, right? So of course I need to give some kind of a key, like so whenever we're getting into in our house, of course we have a key, right, to get in. Similarly, like whenever I want to talk to any of the servers, I need to provide a key. Okay, so then only I'm able to get a response from that particular response from that servers. So similarly, so whenever I want to connect or talk to my OpenAI LLMs, right, or OpenAI models, so of course to connect to their APIs, okay, so I need to pass a key. Okay, so it's like validation of this is what the person is trying to get some kind of response. Okay, so for that, of course, I need to pay some amount also. Okay, I'll be showing you like how to create your account and how to get those keys. Okay, so I hope you got an idea why we are getting with the API keys. Okay, so let me just get into the OpenAI API. Okay, just search for OpenAI API. Okay, so you can just get into this site. Okay, it's a first link, and so here you can see the login information. Let me just click onto this login, and so let me log in with the Google, and even I have set up the multi-factor authentication. Let me just add the code over here, and even I suggest to, like, once you're uh, done registration, okay, I'll be showing you how to add this all this multi-factor authentication. So let me just enter the code over here. So let's wait. So it is 4, 2. Okay, let me enter the code and continue. Okay, so already I've done the sign up. Okay, so this is what you can see. In case if you don't have an account, you can just click onto this sign up and enter your basic details. So once you enter, okay, so this is how the OpenAI API dashboard looks. Okay, so all the basic information, all the documentation. Okay, so we'll be exploring everything in detail. So to get started, okay, so this is the dashboard. Okay, if you click on dashboard, so right now we have something called chat completions. Okay, which we have not started and we don't know anything about what is chat completions. Okay, which we'll be discussing in detail. Okay, let me just get back. Okay, so this is my organization, it's personal, right? So this is my personal, and so to start, okay, so here you can see all your account information, like the email ID which you're registered with, and you can see all your profile information, everything. Okay, and so if you click on your profile, okay, so here you can see the name, okay, so email address, the phone number, and the security. Okay, so this is where you will be setting all your multi-factor authentication, which I've just enabled it. Okay, so this is user API keys. Okay, so this is one of the way. Okay, so how we can just create a new secret key. Okay, so this is a legacy. Okay, that's what you can just highlighted, where you can just create it from the profile section, but this is not a way I'll be showing it, but I'm just showing you in the profile section is what the information you're able to fetch it. So next we have the settings here. Inside the settings, okay, you can see the organization ID, organization details. Okay, so right now it's personal. Okay, so you can see if this things is provided by the companies, okay, so you'll have some the organization name as well as the ID provided. Fine. And so inside the general, okay, so right now I was in settings. Okay, so inside the organizations, so you have the billing section. So if you get into the billing, okay, this is what the current balance is. Okay, so again I'm just reminding you, so if you want to connect to the OpenAI models, okay, so of course we need to pay certain amount. So what I suggest is in case you were able to pay, okay, $10, you can just start it. We can just complete the entire lectures by the $10. In case if you're not able to afford, okay, can just be patient unless we get into the open source LLMs. Okay, so but all the concepts I want you to understand, because this is very important. OpenAI API is very popular. Okay, so if you know its integrations, okay, whenever you're building any of the applications or whenever getting into any of the companies for interviews, okay, so if you know these things, okay, once you know any of this the APIs, okay, the integrations, okay, so automatically you're able to learn the integrations from the Google or Meta or any other the companies. Okay, so where they provide the APIs access, right? Fine. So this is all about the billing section. Okay, inside the billing you can click on overview, and here you'll see the keep on checking, okay, in case if you're making some kind of request to the OpenAI API, so you can just keep eye on your credit balance. You can set all the limits. Okay, you can do all those things here. You can just get into billing section and try to understand more about it. Payment methods you can handle. Okay, billing history, the preferences. Okay, I'm not clicking into this, but you can just explore on your own. Fine. So one of the thing is members. Okay, so right now I'm the owner. In case if you have the different users, you can just invite those people from here. Fine. So the next important part is API keys. Okay, this was I was talking about. So inside the settings, okay, so this is the settings, and here we have the API keys. So already I have created an API key, and so in case we want to create a new API key after the payment, so make sure you click on create a new secret key, and here you can just give the name, select some kind of project here, like it's a default project right now I'm in, and so click on create secret key. So all key will be generated. Okay, so and that key you need to keep it secret. So you should not share with anyone. In case you are sharing it, then you need to pay the amount for them also, right? So make sure you just keep this secret with you. And even I've showed you how to add these secrets in your uh, Google Colab as well, right? So going forward, when we go for VS Code, so there are different ways, okay, how we can just keep this keys in the environments. I'll be showing those methods as well, right? So yes, this is all about creating the new secret key. And why we need this key? Because whenever we are interacting with OpenAI API models, of course, I need this access key, okay? So let me just cancel this, okay? So once you are done, okay, in case if you want to remove the keys, it's very simple. You can just click onto this delete uh, key here, okay? So right now this is my API keys and this is the name of the key which I've right now given, okay? So of course name doesn't matter, but the key which I've just created, it's very important. Fine. So this is the basic things, okay? Going forward we'll be exploring the other sections, but to get started, just know about the billing, just know about the API keys. And so by default you're in the personal organization, and so you can just create a multiple projects, but right now we are in the default project, right? Fine. So this is all about getting the keys, okay? So here I've just given you the steps, okay? You can just get into this page, and from here you can just get the API keys. This is how it looks, right? So already I have added that particular key over here. Can you see? So I've just added this open API key over here, okay? So this is my key, and so even I've showed you how to access that particular key as well, right? So this is the code which I've just copied over here, right? And let me just close this, okay? So let me just first execute this. So I'm just getting that open API key, and I'm just storing that key inside the variable called open API key, okay? So whenever I'm connecting to the OpenAI API, so I need to pass this particular key, okay? So right now it's connecting. Let's wait. Okay, so got connected, and successfully I'm able to import that, okay? So next, to connect the OpenAI APIs, of course we need to install the necessary packages, okay? Again the packages comes with different version. If you're following along with me, make sure you're installing the same version, okay? Like I'm using 0.27.8, okay? So I'm just mentioning the versions because whenever you're watching the video, I don't know like when you're watching, so make sure you have this particular version, okay? So in case if you're installing just pip install OpenAI, it will install the latest version. There could be some conflicts, okay, in the code, okay? So just to avoid that, I've just given the specific version over here, okay? So let me just execute this pip install OpenAI. So this is the necessary packages which is required for us to connect to my OpenAI APIs. Fine. So once the installation is done, okay, so the next is you can just verify that, okay? So what is the OpenAI version which I'm currently using? So the name is OpenAI and the version is 0.278, is same version, okay? So in case you've already installed it, you can just type here pip show OpenAI just to verify the version. Fine. And so let's start. So first, of course, to connect to the OpenAI APIs, okay? So of course we need to import, like whenever you're working with the pandas or NumPy, we're going to import it before using it, right? So now we need to import it, okay? So we are importing OpenAI, okay? This is a library which provides a method to connect to my Open API models or LLMs, right? So I'm importing, so import OpenAI, okay? And so again I'm just not writing the code, okay, just to save time, okay? Because if I start writing the code, so it will take a longer time, okay? And even it's just a waste of time just typing it, okay? So already I've just added the code here, and I'll be explaining in detail, okay? So line by line. So yes, this is the line number one, okay, where I'm just importing the OpenAI. So now, as I told you, so to connect to my OpenAI LLMs or the models, okay, I need a key, okay, so that I can just set with the OpenAI dot API, and I'm just passing this Open API key. So from where I'm getting this, so this is where I've saved it, right? So when I got this key, okay, from here, I've created a variable called Open API key, and I'm just passing that Open API key over here. So right now, so this OpenAI.API key has this particular key, okay? So these are the two things which you need to always do it, okay? So whenever you want to connect to the OpenAI models. Fine. Okay, to start, so we are using this library called OpenAI. So as I told you, so inside this library, it provides a different methods. Okay, so where you can just connect it. Okay, so one of the method we have something called chat completion. Okay, so this is a class. Okay, so within the class we have a method called a create. Okay, so what is chat completions? Okay, so we'll be learning that in detail going forward. So right now your focus is to understand how we can make a connection to the open API and what kind of response I'm getting it, okay, when I'm trying to fetch the when I'm passing some kind of request to my to the OpenAI APIs, okay, to the Open API models. So this is what the response I'm getting it. Okay, this is what you need to focus right now, and going forward we'll be learning all those things in detail. Okay, so yes, this is my Open AI, okay, model, and we have the class called chat completion, and within that I'm just creating it. Okay, so create what? So inside this, so basically this code is basically telling that connect to my open AI model. Okay, in simple terms. So of course I need to provide what kind of model I want to connect it and what is the message I'm sending it, because so whenever I'm connecting to my model, okay, of course I need to pass some kind of parameters. So what are the parameters I'm passing here? So the first parameter is the model. Okay, so I'm just telling, okay, this is the model which you want to connect it, and what is the request I'm sending it. Okay, so that request I'm sending in terms of messages. So within that, okay, so it's a dictionary. Okay, so where we have the key value. So one is the role. Okay, so we have something called content. Okay, and the role, because I'm the user. Okay, the person who is connecting to the LLM. Okay, so you can say the model. So the role we need to define. Okay, so going forward we have the we'll be learning the different types of roles. Okay, so right now it's we are keeping very simple. Okay, I'm just trying to connect to the LLM model here. The role is set to user, and the content is basically it contains all the messages, or you can say a request which is being sent to my LLM. So I'm just asking a question: what is the OpenAI API? Okay, so this is what the question, or you can say a request which I'm sending to the model. Okay, which model? GPT-4. Fine. And finally I'm printing the response, this response, because whatever the output I'm getting from this particular method, okay, I'm just storing that in the response. I'm just printing this entire response. Okay, so I hope you got an idea. Okay, and again I'm just reminding, don't worry, you don't know what is chat completion, I'll be explaining that in detail going forward. So right now our focus is on like how we are able to make a first request, right? So this is how we make a request to our OpenAI models. So let me just execute this. Yeah, so once you execute, okay, you can see this is what the entire response I'm getting it. Okay, so it's entire dictionary. You can see we have some kind of ID which is being generated. The object, okay, the object is chat.completion, when it was created, and what is the model I've used it. We have something called choices, and next we have some like usage. Okay, this is in the dictionary format, and if you carefully observe, so our output is actually inside the choices. Okay, if you observe, this is what the choices is, and inside the choices it's in the actual the output is in actual content. Okay, can you see here content? So our question was, what is the OpenAI API? So you can see the OpenAI API is a platform that allows developer to integrate and use the OpenAI advanced artificial intelligence capability in their own application. Okay, so this is what the response I'm getting. In case if you want to ask some other question, so let me just change the question here. So instead of OpenAI API, so let me just ask what is data science, and let me just read on this once again. So now I'm just sending a request, but with a different different question. Okay, so you can see, so I'm getting again inside the choices we have the content, and I'm getting the data science is a field that uses the scientific methods, algorithm, process, and we're getting the actually answer, right? See, so this we can implement in the OpenAI AI application, that is ChatGPT. Okay, so where we write a prompt, we're gonna just enter this particular prompt, and I'll be getting a response. So you'll be thinking like, what is the use of this? Okay, so again I'm just reminding, so going forward we'll be building a end-to-end GenAI project, GenAI applications. Okay, so of course we need to define all those things in the backend. Okay, so that's where we need all this API access. So in case you are building some Python project, assume like you want to display the current temperature in your Python project. So what you'll be doing, you'll be writing that particular code in the backend, right? So where it will just connect to the it will connect to the APIs, and from there it will fetch the data, and that data you're going to display that in your web page. Assume like you're building some Python project. So similarly, so whenever you want to build some kind of Gen AI application, okay, so you'll be integrating this kind of code at the backend. Okay, so to reach up to that level, okay, of course we need to start with the basics. Okay, so we are just learning how to make a connections to this LLMs. I hope you got an idea. Okay, in case if you have any doubts, you can just connect me in the comments. Okay, you can just mention that. I'll be giving the response. Okay, so in the comment section. Fine. So this is my, I hope I'll just to summarize, okay, I'm just importing the OpenAI module, and we have the chat completions class. Within that, we have a method called create. So this is basically helping us to connect to my OpenAI models. So these are the different parameters I'm passing. So there are n number of parameters, but right now we're just passing what is the model I want to connect it, and what is the message, okay, basically the request I'm sending it. So some of the parameters are mandatory, like what is a model and messages. Okay, so you can't skip this messages, or you can't skip this models. Okay, so in case you are skipping it, it will take the default model, but so some of the parameters you need to mention it. Okay, so if you're not mentioning it, will throw an error. So right now we need to pass this model and messages, and I'll be getting the response, and this is what the entire response is. Just to fetch this only the response. Okay, so because this is a dictionary, so I can just access that, right? So if I because this is the entire thing I'm getting from the response. So if I just want to fetch the ID, so I can just give response.id, right? So I'll be getting that particular ID over here, or you can just pass this in terms of key. Okay, because this is the dictionary, this is the key and value. So this is how we access the value inside the key. Okay, this is how the way, right? So similarly, so now if I want to access the choices, so now let me just get into the choices, that is response.choices, and within the choice we have the message, and within the message we have the content. Sorry, we have the message, and within the message we have the content. And right now, so if I try to execute this, and if I try to execute this once again, you can see I'm just getting only the content here, right? So this is how we are able to fetch the actual output from this response from the model, right? So yes, so this is all about making the request to the OpenAI API. Okay, so I hope you got an idea, and I want you to execute this, and if you're facing any difficulties, just let me know in the chat, in the comments, I mean. Okay, and yes, so this is all about in today's class. Make sure you just pay some amount, okay, in the OpenAI billing section, and $10. Okay, I believe like you can just afford that. Okay, because we spend a lot of money. Okay, we are going for shopping, we are spending a lot of money to purchase clothes and so many things, right? So I think like for the learning, you can spend it $10. Okay, and the people who can't afford, don't worry. Okay, just try to practice these things. Just remember, just make sure you have all the notes with you, and when we go for the open source, okay, so then easily you're able to connect to all those things. Okay, see, this things keeps on changing. What I mean to say here is like whatever the methods you're using in the OpenAI, so that method will not be there in the Meta or the Google Gemini APIs. Okay, so there could be some slight differences in how we access their LLMs, but the overall concepts will remain same. So because so this series is like a journey. Okay, so of course we're not able to cover everything at one go. Okay, so it will be a longer series, there will be a lot of things to cover, and so I'm just going slow so that you'll able to find the each and everything in this particular series. Okay, and if you have any other requirements or any suggestions or any feedback, okay, feel free, you can just send me, even I'll be attaching the Google form soon. Okay, you can just send me that in the Google form, or you can just comment in the comment in the section. Okay, comment section. Fine. So yes, all the best. So see you soon with the next lecture.